Welcome back. You're still watching Good Morning Namibia. Now, the Ministry of Mines and Energy is conducting a comprehensive national energy survey and affordability study in collaboration with the World Bank. The survey started on the 7th of October and is expected to end on the 11th of November. Abraham Hangula, who is the Deputy Director for Energy Planning and Research in the Ministry of Mines and Energy, now joins us in studio with more details on the survey. Mr. Hangula, good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Good morning to all the listeners, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for making time to talk to us. First things first, what prompted the Ministry of Mines and Energy to conduct this National Energy Survey and Affordability Study this time around?
Thanks, Dr. So the timing of this is no coincidence. So we are literally going through a transition now. So the ministry, since independence, has had a program to electrify. We just called it the Rural Electrification Program. Now, that program was targeting public institutions, schools, clinics, police, the likes, yeah? And so that's what the program was targeting, and we are coming to the end of that. So with that program, we were looking at a couple of hundreds of structures, institutions that we were electrifying. We are not 100% done yet, but we now have to focus on households. So whereas the previous program was looking at hundreds to thousands of structures, we're now going to be targeting 300 to 400,000 households. So this requires a new way of doing things. So primarily, that's what prompted us to now look at the socio-economic aspect of people, and hence this energy and affordability study.
All right. So how has the study and the survey been going so far, seeing that it's coming to an end slowly but surely?
It's been slow.
Okay.
So we started earlier this month, but we had issues with some local authorities, perhaps the communication not going out to everybody, so that some of our enumerators were chased away. So we also just want to appeal to the public that, yes, the study is funded and approved by the ministry. It's also got the blessings of the National Statistics Agency as well. So we were meant to end on the 11th, but by the look of things, we will probably have to shift that date to get our numbers, yes.
All right. Can you just talk to us about some of the main objectives behind conducting the National Energy Survey as well as the affordability study?
Sure thing. Now, I indicated that we are now going to be targeting larger numbers, yeah? And these larger numbers are also, perhaps I forgot to mention this, with the transition, it's not just the study, we now needed to get the government's backing to scale up electrification. So we have a policy as well. It was adopted in 2022. So the affordability study then is part of that whole implementation of this policy. So the objectives would be to find out what are people currently using that are not electrified, what might their needs be, what are they spending to spend on the energy right now. So in that way, we are able to understand what they can afford. So that would be one of the key objectives of this. But also, we want to scale it slightly, in that people think of electrification as being connected to the grid. So there is the aspect of having a solar home system if you are too far away from a network where you can connect. So what's the scope of such a market? Yeah. So that's what we are also looking at. And that could also apply to some institutions. So there are businesses, public institutions that perhaps should be connected to that. So the study is really all comprehensive, and we're looking at quite a number of things to help us get to that target of electrifying everybody.
All right. Yes. Earlier on, I did mention that you are in collaboration with the World Bank. What does the World Bank bring to the table?
All right. So the World Bank, we've been collaborating with the World Bank for quite a while. But since the adoption of the policy, we really scaled up our collaboration with the World Bank. In fact, even before the policy was adopted, we had the World Bank help us with technical assistance to do studies around the country and to develop certain tools that we need to plan better. So the World Bank in this specific case is funding the study. We have a consultant, an international consultant that was hired through the World Bank. They are being supported by local consultants or local experts in the country. So there's the Namibia Energy Institute, known as the NEI, that's hosted at NAST. So they would be the local consultant assisting on this project.
All right. Talking about the findings, seeing that you mentioned there may be a possibility that there will be an extension when it comes to the survey, how will the findings from this survey impact the current policies or strategies that are put in place within the Ministry of Mines and Energy?
Now, of course, the studies, the results are still coming out. So that would, we would have to study them and then see what they are saying so that we understand what the impacts are. But what definitely will have to change is, whereas in the previous program, the government put a budget forward to electrify public institutions without the need of public institutions also chipping in. Now, you can do that, but if you want to now suddenly increase from a few hundreds to hundreds of thousands, so you want to now have a strategy where the government, of course, will still subsidize the vast majority of the connection costs, but beneficiaries would also have to contribute, and we want to understand what can they contribute so that as we are planning our budgets in the future, we are able to apportion the contributions towards electrification. So that would be one of the key contributions that this will help, that study will help in us going forward. But many others as the results are coming out, so we would have lots of data that we can then also tweak our programs here and there.
All right. Now, given that energy is the major focus, energy affordability is the major focus of this entire project, what specific factors are being assessed in order to determine affordability for households?
That's a good question and also very difficult to answer, especially because of that very sensitive affordability issue. Now, my minister has gone out and spoken about it, so as a ministry, we are concerned about that. The concern or the challenge here is that when you talk of connecting people to get that service, so you have technology or infrastructure that is a given. And we in the country do not manufacture any of this. So if you need poles or transformers or all of this material that you need to connect, all of that is imported. So we are price takers. So from that perspective, from the supply side, there's probably not much you can do, but we have a sector, there's a regulator that believes that with efficiencies, we might be able to bring that cost down. And again, in this case, I'm talking about the cost of connecting. So if you're going to connect or to supply solar home systems for people that are further away from the national grid, again, we don't manufacture any of the components, so we have to pay for those, we have to import them, and that cost is often passed on to the end user. So the study in and of itself is probably not going to perhaps, or we'll see, not expecting it to necessarily talk to that, except to understand from the demand side perspective. But from us as a sector, it's how efficient can we deliver that service. So that is being covered elsewhere, not through the study necessarily.
All right. Now, with the survey covering such a broader scope, are there perhaps any targeted insights that you're looking to gain on renewable energy adoption within the households?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So our statistics are that we are roughly 50% of the households are connected to the grid. So as per the last statistics from NSA, we have roughly 600,000 households plus. So 300 of those are connected, the other 300 are not.
Okay.
Now, you combine that with the people that we are trying to connect now, who would be the low-income groups. And they would be the furthest from the networks, from the grids, from the supply of electricity through the national traditional means. So the vast majority of those people would probably need to be connected with a solar home system using renewable energy. So we want to understand where these people are, and again, do they have the structures that would be able to support this kind of technology? Are the structures in the rural areas so that we are able to support and make sure that these systems are sustainable? So that is a big emphasis of this affordability study. And with that comes an awareness aspect also, because the adaptability of such systems have been a problem. We understand why, and we're also working on that. So we're making sure that the systems are going to be a bit more robust and they're standardized.
All right. Mr. Hangula, how can the public meet the ministry halfway when it comes to the survey as well as the study? How can we meet you halfway to get this project done or get you the results that you need rather than also going for another extension?
Well, thank you for that question, and I suppose that's exactly why I'm here. So again, the communication never reaches everybody. So right now, we want whoever is listening or knows about it to just spread the word. This is important. It's contributing to national goals. So if you could allow our enumerators, so when they come to your house, they will have a badge indicating exactly where they are from, and they will have some uniform to also identify themselves or some ID to identify themselves. So please assist these people, give them your time, answer the questions as best you can, so that the results coming from out of those are going to go, or rather the results coming from that study will go a very long way to electrify everybody in the country.
And this is currently happening countrywide, or is there a specific region where the enumerators are currently right now?
Now, this is happening countrywide. So like I said, we started earlier in the month, 7th, 10th of October, thereabouts, in all 14 regions. It's a survey, so of course there's already census that was done, so we're not going to go to every single house. So yeah. That's it, yeah.
All right, Mr. Hangula, thank you so much for joining us. Wish you all the best with the survey, and hopefully next time we engage you, you bring us the good news.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
All right. That was Abraham Hangula, who is the Deputy Director for Energy Planning and Research in the Ministry of Mines and Energy, joining us this morning, talking to us about the ongoing National Energy Survey and Affordability Study. Don't go anywhere.